Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's three bald-headed blokes reviewing Superman. Yes, welcome back to the Tailoring Talk magazine. Roberto here, and I am with the intrepid John Evans, who's going to be my Lois Lane today, and our very own Jimmy Olsen, Alex Hansford. How are you guys?
Sexy Jimmy, lovely sexy Jimmy Olsen. I'm relaxed and rested. Done lots of housework, so I'm enjoying the break from housework to be with you chaps tonight. So very happy.
Nice.
Good. Alex?
I'm all right. I'm not too bad. I'm counting the days to my holiday. This is my last sort of scheduled appearance before I disappear into Great Norfolk.
Into the north.
Okay.
Fortress of Solitude, Alex. Is that what you're going?
That's it. Yeah,
It's
Fortress of
Norfolk.
Solitude is a good way of describing it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no kidding, especially in Norfolk.
Village of the Seventh Time.
yeah, no.
And all that.
that's
Exactly. No offence to any of our Norfolk listeners, of course. You're all perfectly normal. So we are talking Superman a couple of weeks actually after that film came out. But we're very busy people, so we didn't get to see it on opening night. Although I think Alex did. You saw it before us, didn't you?
I did, and I kept quiet about it. It was good. And then
Yeah,
I
you
wanted
did.
to talk about it, and you said save it for the pod. So I did.
Yes. Yeah.
We had a
You
little
did not.
chat, didn't we, Alex, the other night? A little mini chat
Yes.
about it. I've been lucky.
That's right.
I've been travelling around as if I could fly from one place to the next. So I went and saw it with Bobby in London, and then I met Alex in Milton Keynes as well. So I've been the travelling man this week, this couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well done. So obviously I had some things to say when we came out of the cinema. So John and I went to see it at the BFI IMAX a week ago, actually, and I had a lot to say when I came out.
Can I just, for
but-
our YouTube viewers, Bobby, can I just show them, off your audio only, I'm sorry, but I want to show you what Bobby's face is like from the second he came out of his seat in the cinema to roughly where we discovered that Ping Pong had gone into liquidation down in the South Bank. So here's his face.
I don't understand what you're doing. Oh, you're doing the face. God. Okay, fine. Right, let's get into it. I have climbed off the ceiling a little bit. Okay, all right. So
Have
I
you
told
mellowed?
you, I've mellowed. So I needed time. I told you it's always the same with me. I need to marinate these things. Okay, so I have marinated. Anyway, guys and girls, Superman
talk through it.
2025, directed by James Gunn. We are going to be spoiling the hell out of this movie because we are really going to get into it. So if you haven't seen the film, then stop listening and go see it and then come back to us.
Fools, don't listen!
Yeah, exactly. There's a certain kind of pressure that comes with playing Superman. He's not just a superhero, he's the superhero, the one who started it all. And when it comes to putting him on screen, there's always a lot at stake. Over the years, we've had a fair few attempts to get it right, from the charm of Christopher Reeve back in the late 70s through to the 80s, the moody reinvention in Man of Steel in the 2000s, early 2000s, I don't even know what we call it, the noughties, to the brief and slightly awkward return of Henry Cavill. But for whatever reason, Superman has felt like a tough nut to crack for modern audiences. Maybe until now, judging by the Rotten Tomato scores for the latest movie. Enter James Gunn, the guy who made a tree and a raccoon the emotional core of a Marvel franchise, is now in charge of bringing back the world's most famous superhero and rebooting the entire DC film universe while he's at it. So, has this gone super right or has it gone super wrong? Let's find out. So, after the lukewarm reaction to Justice League and all the chaos behind the scenes at DC, it looked like Henry Cavill was out, and then he was back in, and then suddenly he was out again. Black Adam teased his return in the end credits, spoiler alert, in the after credits scene, but just weeks later it was confirmed that DC was starting all over again and Henry Cavill was not part of the plan. In 2022, James Gunn was hired to take the wheel at DC Studios alongside producer Peter Safran, and their job was to sort the mess out. Gunn's approach was to wipe the slate entirely clean, or mostly clean, and start again with a new version of Superman. Not an origin story, but a younger Clark Kent early in his career trying to figure things out. The film was originally titled Superman Legacy, but by early 2024 they dropped the subtitle and it was just Superman. Totally back to basics. Now, I just want to kind of interject here. We talked about this a little bit, John and I, about what Superman meant to us growing up. But Alex, you weren't part of that conversation. I'd really, really like to know. So for me, I was a huge Superman fan to the point that, you know, I had the uniform or the costume when I was little, and I'd wear it under my school uniform, and I had the bed covers and just everything. It was all Superman when I was little. And the Christopher Reeves Superman 1 and 2 just on replay along with A New Hope non-stop. What was Superman to you growing up? Because you're a little bit younger than us actually, so Superman 3 I think probably was kind of a movie you might have been aware of.
I wouldn't put me through that. That wasn't the best. I actually think
John loves that movie, by the way.
I do. I love Superman 3. I love Richard Pryor in it. I love the robot lady, and I love Miss Tessmacher, who's brilliant in that. And yeah, it's ridiculously. It's a terrible film, but I love it. And Robert Vaughn. How can you not love a film with Robert Vaughn in it? I don't know. But there you go. It got 31% and it's currently standing at 31% in Rotten Tomatoes. So not.
I have no memory of it.
It's Richard Pryor.
I've got no.
Richard Pryor came up with this clever he's like an accidental computer expert. He goes on this correspondence course and discovers he's brilliant at computing, and he hacks all the computers at his workplace to essentially on the payroll give everybody from their account, take half a dollar from everyone's account and pay it into his account. And then back in the 1980s, I think it was about 84 grand, which is probably about 300 grand in modern money. And basically, the head of the company that he works for noticed this and happens to be the villain of the film, played by Robert Vaughn. So I just thought, it used to tickle me that this guy could hack everyone's accounts without people noticing and get money, and then that's the basis for the film, really. His expertise is what is the basis for the supercomputer that gets built at the end of the film, spoiler, which becomes sentient. Basically, Richard Pryor accidentally creates AGI to steal money from people's bank accounts, basically. Anyway.
Okay, great. That sounds like a really shit Superman movie. Alex, back to you. So maybe not in the cinema or the cinematic version of Superman, but did Superman mean anything to you growing up, comics or whatever?
Yeah, so comics no, but Superman 1 and 2 like was still held in my mind as like seminal parts of the comic, parts of the character, and they just, for me it was bank holiday fodder. So it was the kind of thing that was on it was a bank holiday Monday or sometimes Christmas. It's really funny because when you mention like some of the other ones, so 3 and 4, I have no memory of, like none, and I should, but I don't. I have absolutely no memory of that. I do have a memory of Supergirl.
Yeah, we all do.
for fair reasons for that. But it was because it just has. I think that was more recent. But Helen Slater was just lovely in that, and so I think in my head I've got like 1, 2, and Supergirl in my head. Sort of irrevocably, that is what Superman is for me. And then obviously we start moving on to the modern stuff, but yeah,
cool.
More Supergirl would be lovely.
We've temporarily lost John, so hopefully he'll re-emerge. But I will,
looking for
as
Helen
ever.
Slater.
That's the thing. You mentioned Supergirl, and that was it. He overheated.
Comes in later on. We'll talk about that a bit more.
Casting David Corenswet as Superman was a bold move. He's got the look. He's a bit Reeve, a little bit Cavill, but completely unknown to most people. Same with Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. She brings wit and edge. Most famous role prior to this was in the marvellous Mrs. Maisel, which you can catch on Amazon Prime. She's absolutely, she's delightful in that. and Nicholas Hoult cast as Lex Luthor, which was a bit of a curveball to a lot of fans, but it's James Gunn, so people were willing to trust it. Filming kicked off in February 2024 after delays caused by the writers and actors strikes, and budget-wise, it is a big one, around $225 million once tax breaks are factored in. Not the most expensive film ever made, but certainly not a cheap reboot either. It wasn't completely smooth. A few scenes and characters were reportedly cut. The strike slowed everything down. And then there's the pressure of launching an entirely new DC universe with this film as the starting point. So no pressure, James Gunn. What is this movie about? This version of Clark is still working out who he is. He's balancing life as a reporter at the Daily Planet with being a not quite established Superman. He's already out in the world saving people, but he hasn't fully won everyone over yet. Public trust is a big theme in this movie. Lex Luthor is back. This time he's more of a corporate manipulator than a cartoon villain. There's also a wider world being hinted at. Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, even a Green Lantern. It's not a Justice League film, but you can feel the threads are just starting to be laid down. There's a big third act showdown, as expected, but the heart of the film is about Clark trying to figure out how to do the right thing in a world that doesn't always want saving. So far, the movie's doing pretty well. It opened really strong in the US with $122 million on its opening weekend. It's passed $330 million globally already. The reviews are very solid, around 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, and audiences seem to be really into it. Cinema Score gave it an A-, which in blockbuster terms is very, very good, and it's being called the best Superman film since the Christopher Reeve days, which says a lot. And also, not much, considering how many attempts have missed the mark. Still, people seem genuinely excited, not just because the film works, but because it feels like DC might finally be on the right track. So, Alex, did it work for you? Because do you know what? I don't know what it is looking back. I don't know. See, here's what happened, because you weren't there. So we went in, we sit down, go through all of the adverts, and then the film comes on, all excited. And within 10 minutes, I just was sort of sat there in my seat, literally like this, like that, leaning to one side, wondering why I'd only deodorized one armpit, so that was probably part of the problem. And I was just like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this. And about 20 minutes in, I said to myself, I don't think I ever want to see this movie ever again. So I had a really bad instant reaction to it. How about you?
So I understand, and I can also understand why people who particularly have a love for Superman and sort of maybe even some of the earlier days or even the Schneider stuff would be like, this has it feels wrong, like in some respects, and I think that there's a lot of that sits firmly with James Gunn, and I think it's about some of the tonal shifts that go on throughout the film. So I think part of it. Have you recovered from the pocket dimension?
I think John. Yeah, pocket dimension. John was just doing an impression of me about 20 minutes into this film. That's exactly it. Very good impression.
That's the point we're at. You haven't missed much.
Unplug the internet to use the switch behind the TV.
Who did?
Okay.
So he unplugged the internet.
Oh, bless him.
But everyone knows that they're not allowed to use technology while you're recording. That's it.
Oh my God.
You're going to have to take it all away and keep it with you.
Ewan makes his appearance on Tailoring Talk by taking his dad away. So John, we were just talking about the fact that the audience reaction to this film has been very, very good already. So I was just sharing with Alex my instant reaction when I was in the cinema, that sort of 10 minutes in I had my head in my hand, and then 20 minutes in I was saying to myself, I never ever want to see this movie again. So that's where we were at.
I was talking him down.
The plot kind of change a lot of things.
No, not yet. We haven't got into plot yet.
No, we haven't got to that point. I think what I said is, look, I think there's a lot of tonal shifts in the film, and what I mean by tonal shifts is because this is a complete restart, it takes a little longer for you as an audience member to kind of appreciate some of the things that have been put in. So what happens is that in a James Gunn film, he constantly changes the topics and tone. So it's like, let's do a heartwarming piece, let's do a massive action piece, and you're like, wow, okay, that's really good. Let's do a bit of comedy, let's do another action piece, let's do some heartwarming stuff, let's go serious for a bit, let's do this. But the thing is that I don't think it's pacing. I think it's just the fact that he couldn't appreciate that as an audience member you might struggle with that, because what you need is you almost need a little bit of time to digest. So like one of the things that would happen, for example, would be Crypto, which we'll definitely come on to. What a wonderful dog. But you see him at exactly the point where you're thinking, oh no, Superman's not in good shape. This is an emotional element. Oh, I'm not sure what's going to happen now. And then he gets stamped on by a dog. And then instead of you going, oh, that's really funny, I love it, you go, is he all right? I mean, oh my God, that really looks like it hurts. And then after a little while, you go, oh no, this is a gag, right? Okay, I get it now, right? Phew, okay, great. Yeah, no, everything is not. He's not being mauled by his badly trained pet. But the problem is that you do that throughout the film. There's lots of instances where you kind of like, oh, it's okay, this is the jokey bit, and then something really dark comes in, and you're like, oh no, it's not the jokey bit. And I think that's the bit that's hard in this film.
I'll tell you where it works doing that, because I watched Thunderbolts today.
Oh yeah.
And that changes pace between kind of the more close-up, heart-to-heart serious aspects and the jokey aspects, but that's not jarring. I don't know who directed Thunderbolts. I have to have a look it up. But I think it's interesting because James Gunn is not. He's an established director, isn't he? He's not new to the game. He's not new to this. Do you think that the pressure of the Superman franchise that was placed on him, he wanted to kind of get everything in? You know, the humour, the action. Are directors under pressure from the studios to produce a film that hits all four quarters? So we talked about this before, the four different groups that appeal. Fat families, young men, children, women. The four different groups that will enjoy this film. So you've got a bit of the fun dog stuff for certain viewers. You've got the bishy bashy fighty stuff. The middle-aged men, men of a certain age. You've got like the family stuff. With all the colourful costumes and characters. So I just wonder if perhaps there's so much pressure these days in these big franchise films to tick all the boxes at the studio, that they're forgetting what the soul of a film really is. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think I might have agreed with you 7 days ago, John, but I think, and I don't know this for sure, but I get the feeling that James Gunn has been given a sort of Kevin Feige, Lord of the Universe, you need to sort this out, we're going to leave you alone to do it. Or he would have said to them, yeah, fine, I'll take the job, but you need to leave me to do what I need to do. And there's going to be stuff that I'm going to do that you're not going to like, but you just need to trust me with it. And you can kind of see all the marks of that on this film. I don't think he has forgotten. One of the things that we loved about Guardians of the Galaxy was that you really cared about those characters. All of them had a backstory, and you cared to a certain degree about all of them as well. And who could forget all the heartbreaking stuff with Rocket in the third one? Yeah. And he has actually done that with this, but he's done it with Superman as the focal point. Because the one thing that I did actually come to quite like about it, having looked back on it on reflection, and trust me, I've been turning this film over and over in my head for the last 7 days straight, is those moments where we see a Superman Clark, who is very, very frustrated because he is just trying to do the right thing, but the whole world seems to be either questioning it or do you know what I mean? It's like you can't do the right thing for the right thing's sake. You've always got to justify it somehow, and there's always people that aren't happy about it, and there's always people that have an opinion for right or wrong. You know, that it was a very big social commentary on how the world is today.
This
Huge.
is a film that's dealing with fake news and misinformation, isn't it? It is
Yeah.
a comment on our modern lifestyle.
100%. And then obviously the whole thing with the war and the annihilation of those people, I can't remember what they call the fake country, but that obviously is echoing what's going on in Gaza. We're not making any comment on whatsoever because we don't get into politics on this podcast, but again, the film is a huge commentary on what is going on in that part of the world right now. It's almost, as much as there are various points in the movie where the movie almost does its own nod to camera and sticks its finger up at you, I kind of feel like this is James Gunn turning around and sticking his finger up to everybody that wouldn't want someone to make a film that makes this sort of commentary. Do you know what I mean?
I do feel like
I kind of don't. I'm not going to push any more on that point because it's, you know, potentially starts getting into quite a controversial area.
I do think that it's squeezed too much into too short a time. I feel like some of that political aspects, for example, they're interesting topics to explore. As a second film, they would have been a bit more comfortable, because I think as a first film, particularly a film with lots like a really ensemble cast, I think it was quite jarring to then like lump some really heavy stuff in there as well. I do think though that, and I think this is the thing, maybe you can tell us a little bit about this, Bobby, but on reflection, I have more fondness for it now than I did at the time, and at the end of it, I still thought that was good fun. There was, you know, even with my emotions and stuff, having to play hockey between a few sides, I kind of was like, no, I still enjoyed that. That I felt like I got my money's worth. I'd seen a good story, and I think the future stuff I actually didn't think about. There are some interesting things for the future, but I actually was just like seeing it in isolation as its own film. Kind of helped, and then the more I found out about it afterwards, the more I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, that was a good nod, and I can see how that's going to work now, and right, yeah, that's how he's introduced things. So I think that's the thing. I think it, you know, on paper it does everything well. I think everyone's going to enjoy it, but I do think that there's some bits which are probably just James Gunnisms that in another place would be fine.
Yeah, Alex, you also got to remember that it's a real challenge. They've managed to do it 4 or 5 times before, but it must be a real challenge to write a story about a technically invulnerable person. Where's the danger? Where's the conflict? And I always feel like with the Superman stories that they've always got to find a way to hurt Superman, and so the very nature of his role as a superhero generates stories that are a little bit ridiculous and a bit sort of over the top. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, having just watched Thunderbolts today, where again, don't spoil it too much, but there's a character in that that's quite powerful, and how they deal with that. I personally, on reflection, having watched Superman and Thunderbolts, I was more emotionally engaged by Thunderbolts than I was by the Superman, which is strange.
I mean, I think
It's more of a colourful, joyful film, but I almost shed a tear at Thunderbolts at one point. That's a very personal thing, but it was much for me. Got me much more on the catharsis in the situation of the Thunderbolts than with Superman. Superman, as you say, Alex, is a popcorn romp, isn't it? It's fun.
Yeah,
it's an enjoyable romp. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be loved enough to have more films after this, but it's just a fun one.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think, actually, here's a thought. So, you know, when you read the comics, you know, you go back to the 80s and the runs that it did through the 80s and 90s, and then you look at the more modern stuff like All-Star Superman and Superman Birthright. You know, Superman Birthright doesn't bother with the origin stuff. Obviously, they keep talking about it because it's an integral part of who Clark is. But, it drops you kind of right in the action with a younger Clark Kent who's trying to find his way in the world and all the rest of it. And it doesn't insult your intelligence. And also everything just leaps off the page. And you have all these fantastical creatures and all these, absurd situations. And what James Gunn has done, and again, this is totally all my marinating it and upon reflection and all the rest of it, right? What I've realised he's done is he's basically put the comic book on the screen, which for fans of those, and I've been reading those books the last couple of months, I can see exactly what he's done. And has he done a great job with it? Absolutely. He's actually, I can't believe I'm saying this, he's actually knocked it out of the park. I think the other problem for people who, and there aren't that many, but for the minority of people that have sort of backlashed against it, I think the problem is the Superman, Man of Steel was kind of born out of that whole era of The Dark Knight with Christopher Nolan, Casino Royale, that kind of period of cinema where it was all about grounding everything in realism. The problem for this film with that audience that is a big fan of Man of Steel, I've had a lot of people on social media where I've had the How Was Superman conversation with, and they've said, so was I not the only one that went back and watched Man of Steel straight after this? Oh. Which is really interesting. Yeah, because you're talking to people... Right, okay, but there are people who were fans of Man of Steel because they were teenagers when Man of Steel came out in 2012. Those teenagers now are in their late 20s, early 30s, going up to 40-year-olds. That Henry Cavill is their Superman. It's a bit like the Bond conversation as well, right? Who's your Bond? Christopher Reeve isn't...
Yeah, there's going to be a similar conversation because there's a new TV series coming out, or is it films, about the Harry Potter franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
TV series.
Original Harry Potter fans who will find this distasteful, probably.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But anyway, going back to this, you've just come off the back of a 10-year period where Zack Snyder was in charge of the franchise, and it took that darker, slightly more grounded in realism tone in comparison to this. And so you've got that generation of kids that are now full-grown adults, and Henry Cavill is their guy. And then you've got the older lot, so us and people in their 50s, 60s, maybe slightly older, and for them, Christopher Reeves is their guy. And everybody's forgotten about poor Brandon Routh in the middle of this. You've also got generations who, for them, Superman is, or Clark Kent rather, is Tom Welling, Smallville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got another section because you've got Dean Cain, and then you've got Tyler Hoechlin, the most recent TV Superman.
Yeah,
right.
I really
okay.
The Superman and Lois series, the Dean Cain series. I thought that was really.
So where this brings me back to mentioning all of that is that it's really, really important that this character means different things to different people, and it represents different things to different ages and at different times of cinematic history. And so it is a really hard job for any new filmmaker to come in and try and work out how to tackle it in a way that makes it a bit more universally appealing. I mean, it's almost impossible because you can't please everyone all of the time. But James Gunn comes in, and now I believe he's the right person for the job, because he's the only person that would come in and stick a finger up at everyone and say, F everybody, I'm going to do this my way, like it or not. This is what I believe is right. Because at the end of the day, that's all you can do. You can't sit there trying to... As soon as you work it out, it becomes a mess. So the only way that you can deal with it is to say, don't do it.
No, come up with new IP. Stop rebooting old stuff and come up with new stuff. But it's that age-old, this is what makes money, established franchises make money.
But it's like, you say that, but I want them to... I mean, I don't see the point of them rebooting the Harry Potter thing and making a TV show out of it other than making a lot of money. But Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, all of these superheroes, we want to keep seeing reiterations and versions of it, especially as technology moves on as well. I mean, speaking of which, what a good-looking film. It was very good. The CGI was very, very good as well. I didn't really spot anything that was ropey at all. It just looked great. And I think the opening, they did a really good thing by giving away the opening in the extended trailers or previews that they released a couple months ago, which was the opening scene of the film. So no one was surprised. We got used to the idea of Crypto being in the movie, and it was a clever decision to show him vulnerable at the very start, because that, as John alluded to earlier, is the big thing with Superman. It's like nothing can hurt him. Well, guess what? He's just had this shit beaten out of him, and then he goes back after being regenerated and he gets the shit kicked out of him again. It's great. Let's talk about casting. So David Corenswet, I'd not heard of him before this, but I think he did a great job for the type of Superman.
If you go onto Corenswet's IMDb page and look at his mugshot, he looks very like Henry Cavill because he's got a beard.
Yeah,
he is a good-looking.
In real life.
Yeah.
He's tall and he's got that kind of bit of Cavill sort of look about him as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
I fancy him.
Okay, different. Okay, we might
think twice. Actually, my wife Corenswet.
Okay.
So I wish, He's a good-looking guy.
He's not.
No, he's not Cavill, but I mean, you can't really see it because the camera. But he is smouldering. Look at that picture. Look at him.
He's not.
I prefer older men.
He's not as big as Cavill, so you could probably get your arms around him, John.
But could he get his arms around me? That's the question.
Probably not. David Corenswet, if you're watching and you're so inclined to cheat on your wife with him, he's anyone. After 2 pints, he's anyone's. He's such a lightweight.
Kryptonite after 2 pints, to be honest.
Yeah, tell me about it.
In the video below, in the comment section, should I go out with David Corenswet or not? Let me know.
How does he compare to Cavill, Reeve, Routh, Welling, Hochin, Kane, etc.? Where does he rank in your Superman rankings? Who is your favourite Superman? Alex, who's the best Superman to date for you?
I think I would say Reeve, but I would also say then followed by what's his face? The one we were just talking about.
Henry Cavill.
Cavill, yeah, that's it. Sorry,
There's not very much love for Nicolas Cage, is there? That's the
no.
There you go.
Just.
Nicolas Cage never did it, so.
That would be my order, but
he was Superman in one of the films, in The Flash, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, he was.
But it was his likeness. He didn't actually. They didn't motion capture it or anything. They just did a, ChatGPT generated image and stuck him in.
Yeah.
A lot of the actors didn't even know that they were in it. They didn't seem to do much consulting with people for that. But anyway, I think even Nicolas Cage was actually surprised. He actually said it was quite nice that they did that, but he had no idea about it apparently. John, for you, where does Corenswet rank?
I'd have to see him in a couple more Superman films to make my mind up really. But my favourite is Christopher Reeve. I really like Henry Cavill. Corenswet's good. I think he did a really good job, as you said earlier on, of bringing the comic style. He was very much more channeling the Kirk Allen, George Reeves era of kind of as I said before in our last podcast, the Boy Scouts in the big blue red trunks rather than the budgie smugglers that the more recent Supermen wear. So I think he did a really good job of kind of merging the old with the new. And I think again on reflection, he was really good in this film. I thought he was really good, and an interesting take on Clark Kent where he's got a different hairstyle. He's kind of more curly and floppy, and I love the jokes about how they kind of it was more obvious they worked out who he was in this film, which is really funny because that's kind of a nod to everyone everywhere for however many years saying why couldn't they tell the difference between the two of them. No, I thought he was really good in this. I think probably my.
Did you pick up on the tech that it was his glasses that distorted? It was like a Kryptonian distortion thing So when he wore them, it kind of distorted his face or something when people looked at him.
That was their gotcha, wasn't it? That was their retcon of why it all works, and then
I bet that was his idea.
Yeah, I think it's just trolling. I actually think like later on he'll just be like, I don't need the glasses or something, and you'll be like, what? I think that'll happen. It's got to.
I think the best Clark Kent ever is Christopher Reeve, for sure. You know, and you know, favourite Superman for me. I'm still open-minded now to Corenswet. I'd like to see him in a couple more movies, but he did a great job. But for me, it's just a toss-up. No, I don't. Rachel Brosnahan, on the other hand. But yeah, he was good. But I think for me, I really like Cavill, and I really like. Obviously, I love Christopher Reeve as well as Superman. So yeah, both quite different Supermen actually, Cavill and Reeve. But yeah, Cavill was cool.
I feel like Corenswet's came across as very genuine. Yeah. And the thing is that he, like, it's a modern world. So what I think the thing is that, you know, if you'd have played it like Reeve, for example, you would have been like a relic, and it wouldn't have felt like you would have felt. So he played it as a modern Superman, but with some sort of vulnerability and with some, you know, being genuine and, you know, genuinely conflicted about the story and his background and things. And that made it for me. That was like, yes, you've got the assignment, Gunn, and you've understood it, and you've executed on that. Thank you very much. But I think Corenswet did deliver that very well.
Yeah. So on to other cast members. Rachel Brosnahan, big shout out, great Lois Lane. I wasn't sure about some of the action bits with her, but you know, otherwise she was a Lois Lane that was actually given quite a lot to do, and she was she's kind of the first Lois Lane we've had since Margot Kidder that is like Margot Kidder. Don't know how you pronounce Margot Kidder. So yeah, I really liked her, because the thing about Kidder originally is that she was smart, she was attractive, she was strong, she was spunky, you know, spiky, and I think Rachel Brosnahan, yeah, very much. And it, you know, where he puts that 10-minute or 15-minute conversation between Clark and Lois into this film, which was a really big swing. But yeah, the interview, which on reflection really actually works, because it tells us, it's really important because it tells us a lot about her, but it also tells us a lot about him, especially how frustrated he gets at, you know, he's just, you know, there's good and there's bad. I'm just doing the right thing. Why is that so hard for everybody to understand? Why do I have to keep justifying everything that I do? But yeah, she was brilliant. So there we go. It's quite possibly one of my favourite Lois Lanes, actually.
I think it was interesting because she came across very much as a journalist, not a reporter. That was not her role. She was a journalist. So, and it felt like that when she was coming up with questions and interrogating and going, well, you know, there is this, and oh, well, now I've pieced together, and it was like, okay, great, this is really, you know, I think that was really good, because I think like earlier ones wouldn't have shown that depth.
I mean, it explains why she sees beyond the glances so quickly in this film as well, isn't it? She's switched on.
Yeah, but also we know that they've been dating for like what, a few months or a year or something by now. Lex Luthor, possibly the best cinematic Lex Luthor ever, Nicholas Hoult. I thought he was really, really, really good, and as I look at myself on screen, I look like a brown version. But he was absolutely brilliant. I think he just nailed it. He nailed the best versions of Lex from the comics, like through and through. That really slimy, corporate-looking, obviously got daddy issues. You know, he was just 10 out of 10. Superb. And the people around him were horrible. Absolutely. All those people he had in his tech room sort of pulling all the strings and stuff, they were all just really nasty, nasty people. like revolting people, the worst, absolute worst. But yeah, and he looked good as well. I loved his outfits as well, his suits and stuff. He looked so cool.
I don't know if he's the best.
No, I'm
Lex.
not with you there, Alex.
Because I think the one I have in mind is Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville, and I think that's partly because we had a lot more screen time from him, and so we got to see a lot more to him. But I do think his, the presence, Nicholas Hoult's presence on the screen was great, and it was like exactly what you needed. And I somewhat feel like, so that's the thing, Rosenbaum was very different because you had time to go into his background and all this kind of stuff. But I kind of feel like Superman kind of has it has a bit of a Grey's Anatomy feel to it in this one, if you understand what that means. Because Grey's Anatomy, there's all this stuff going on, but it's not really about that. It's about the people in it. And I kind of feel like sometimes that he came across with that vibe. It's like, I'm going to get really frustrated. I'm going to really angry, and then you're like, yeah, all right, but like, we're really interested in where the dog is, or we're interested in the counterplay between Lois and Clark. We're you're doing great acting, keep doing it, but it's not. This film isn't really about you, and the same comes along when you start thinking about some of the Justice League or Justice Gang. Is it? I can never remember.
Justice Gang.
Nicholas Hoult for me was fine. I don't think he was. I think he was the one. Who had the least amount of departure from the character. I think he pretty much played it as it was. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But also he was evil. Like he killed that guy. Like shot him in the head. The poor falafel vendor. He didn't do anything to anybody, and then he was going to chop Crypto up after he found out what made him tick. He was just going to chop him up for dog meat. Horrible. Horrible.
Musk was in this film, really, basically, what he meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, before you lot disagree with me again, this is not a Lego YouTube button that YouTube sent me. This is actually connected remotely to each of your homes. So just be careful.
Is that why you keep playing with it? Are you gonna
Next time you shocked? Because I'm so tempted. Okay, you two keep talking, and I've just got to go and get the door.
Let's discuss, shall we, the little minor plot point, right? And it felt like Jimmy Olsen was a similar sort of character. Like all the girls fancied him. He had, even Miss Tessmacher. He couldn't, she was the love for him as kind of saved the film. But what was that all about? It was hilarious. I quite enjoyed it, but weird.
It's a bit random, wasn't it? Yeah. It was a bit random. I mean, this is the thing. You can
So the actor. The actor Skylar Gisondo, I'd previously seen him in Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix, which was with Timothy Olyphant, Drew Barrymore.
Oh yeah.
Where it got cut, it got cancelled, didn't it? But it was so funny. No, not the cannibals. She becomes a zombie, and so. Yeah, they have to keep the whole pretext up and keep feeding her, so they end up sort of, she ends up killing people who've done bad things, and it's almost like Dexter. Yes, that's what I said, John. Keep up.
The barkeep Crypto. Sorry, mate.
Oh, okay, sorry. But he was basically the awkward kind of wannabe boyfriend of their daughter, and he was so good in that. So to see him in this sort of suddenly playing Jimmy Olsen as this sort of sex magnet or whatever was hilarious to me. But he was really good.
There was some odd combos, wasn't it? So like his squeeze, who ended up being Lex's other lady of
Eve
interest.
Tessmacher, yeah.
And it's just like very clearly unlikely couple. It was just hilarious. They really go off into it as well, don't they? They don't. Yeah. And this is the thing that gets me sometimes. Is like, there's some bits of this that I'm like, oh, that's a bit close. I mean, I'm not sure I would want my daughter to see this bit because that's a bit talking about things, and I'm like, But yeah, so it's funny. It's funny how they kind of take something, and then Gunn's kind of explored it in almost a bit too far sometimes, and you just think to yourself, okay, I didn't need that. We didn't need to go to a seedy place near that. We could have just met somewhere else. Like, it didn't have to be there.
It's a 12A, so...
It is 12A. You can put what you like in it.
But going to Crocodile Dundee with my parents and slipping in when I was under 15, because that's a 15, and that would have been a 12A. So it's kind of that grey area back in the olden days when we had 15s all the time. I like the fact that they maintained that same kind of character quality of Tessmacher, that she comes across as this dumb blonde, but actually she's quite clever. So in the original Superman film, Superman 2 and 3, Superman 3, I think she's in as well. Was she in 3? I can't remember. She was obviously, she looked stupid, but she was actually really intelligent. There's one bit in Luthor's office where she's reading this really complicated book and commenting on it, and Luthor just ignores her. Well, in this, although selfish she's doing, she's actually doing something with a purpose, with all the details and the background behind her. And I thought that was lovely that they keep that character, they maintain that she's not just a dumb blonde doing selfies.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. When you put all these things together, you go, that was clever, this was good, that was great. So actually, and then as a whole, you're like, no, it was actually fine. I just wish she'd spent a little bit more time giving them a bit of breathing space, and a couple of times where there was kind of, this has to be a gag, where he could have not made it a gag, or could have let it breathe a bit more, because he didn't have to have that run time. He could have had a longer run time. It wasn't short on.
If you look at this film and the pace and the action, and then you look at the number of kind of interpersonal scenes it has, and then you look at the original film with Christopher Reeve and the number of action and the calmer scenes, they're almost inverted. And that's the difference between filmmaking 50 years ago and now, 50 years ago, God. And so, again, that's the challenge that scriptwriters have these days. You're right, I think they could have spent some more time writing a little bit more of a character development in this film and made 2 films. And stretched it out a little. They could have made that reveal about his parents a bit later on, maybe as a denouement for the film. We're not experts, we're not scriptwriters, we don't work in Hollywood. But I think you're right. I think this film is a little bit busy, it's a bit goofy, but it's also quite charming. So busy, goofy and charming are the 3 words I'd use about this film, and that's fine. But how much money has it made so far, Alex?
It's currently at 432 against a $225 million budget, so
it's done well.
All right.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's done.
They said it's probably not going to get to Man of Steel kind of level.
But I don't think anything in this climate will get to that, because it's just not. Partly because there's more to see, but also partly it's just like audiences aren't filling cinemas anymore. So, and I think it's showing in some of the stuff, and it's kind of making it harder to make massive blockbusters. And it's like we had with Tom Cruise. Like, he could never have made any money on the last one, which is a real shame, because it was really good. But yeah, it's just, at least this one has made its money back. It's kind of made sure that James Gunn is kind of vindicated a bit. Just if he could just keep the following films tight and not like go all James Gunn on them, then that'd be fine.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, Man of Steel had about the same budget, although that was about 12 years ago. So when you adjust for inflation, this has got a smaller budget than Man of Steel. Speaking of crypto, Bailey, come here.
This is the first
Come here.
year, though, since COVID,
Come on, drop it.
4 really big blockbuster movies
Drop it.
in 1 year.
Okay,
That's
up.
a good sign.
Up.
I think there's still
Up.
open for some more.
So I'm distracted by the dog.
Are you wearing a cape? Oh, no.
No, he's not. He's wearing a harness. He's just come back from a long walk with the dog walker, haven't you?
Oh, he's happy.
And now we've got
Very
his
happy.
bloody breathing all over the bloody episode as well. Anyway, there we go. Sorry, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Man of Steel had actually adjusted for inflation, had a bigger budget than this one. That ended up on $670 million worldwide, so it'll be interesting. They predict that this won't get quite that far.
It might hit $500 million, though, which is pretty good. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I think
is.
it will do well when it hits streaming as well.
Yeah.
But going back to what Alex was talking about, I think that is the problem these days, isn't it? A lot of people don't have time. I think TV shows are more popular because they can be digested in smaller chunks. Even we don't really watch films at home anymore because it takes too bloody long. And then people will elect maybe not to go spend the money in the cinema and wait for something to come on streaming, because it's not like in the old days. I mean, when we were kids, something would come out in the cinema. It would be in the cinema for a long, long time, and then you wouldn't be able to watch it on rental or on TV for maybe like 2 years or something. It would take ages. And if a film came out in America, you wouldn't get it over here for sometimes. Some films came out a lot sooner there, etc. Whereas in today's world, it's all instant, and you can get stuff for free and blah. Anyway.
The other thing is the experience at home now is, sometimes almost as good as the cinema experience. So there is an element of, like, we've almost made it too good.
This rule, Alex, to only go and see films with Bobby or you at the IMAX and get the full, maximum vibe. I mean, I thought it was a good vibe in the cinema, Bobby. It was busy. It was a busy cinema, which is a good sign,
It was, but there wasn't, like, usually films like that, there's a bit of cheering at the end and clapping, and there wasn't really any of that. People just couldn't wait to get out for some reason, in our screening anyway.
What I really loved about this film was, which is completely unlike my local multiplex, was the guy, it happens every time you get one of the employees who talks about, the rules and regs and says, please put your phones away, because that's a big bugbear. And someone down from ours, straight away, as the film started, had their phone out. And he just came up the steps and he patiently stood behind the guy on the phone, gave him a few, 20 seconds to put it away, and when he didn't, he said, please, could you put your phone, very politely said, please put your phone away. And the guy did, and I thought that was worth every single extra pound I paid over my multiplex to go and see that film. And that made me so happy.
Yeah, they should bring that back in all cinemas now. Yeah. There's no reason a member of staff can't go in and introduce the film a few minutes before, and then,
It puts you in a really good frame of mind for the film, I think, as well. Because he was...
Saves people like me and you from having to take that role on and tell people to either shut their F up or turn their bloody phones off. Let's talk about the Justice Gang briefly, because they were a big part of this movie. So first off, Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern with that haircut. And I now, on reflection, believe that it was a huge piss take. But if you actually look at that version, that Green Lantern in the comics looks like what they made him look like.
He said it was canon to have that haircut, so he wanted to do it that way. He looked terrible, but hilarious in that film. His face look and everything. It was
and that version of the Lantern is an absolute dick in the comics, and Fillion did it proud. I really love him as an actor anyway. I mean, he pops up in so much stuff, but he's awesome. Isabella Merced was Hawkgirl.
I loved her because she's great in The Afterwards, and she's great in Alien Romulus. I think she was good in that film as well. She's great in Dora the Explorer, Dora and Friends, Yeah,
I mean, I do like the bit where she picked up the president of that nation or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, you're like Superman, you're not gonna do anything to me," and she's like, "I'm not really," and then she drops him.
Yeah.
That I really liked. Yeah, exactly. And then
talk a bit about Eddie Guthrie,
Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
Of course you can. I thought you'd have really liked him, Alex, because he's a man after your own heart. He's got a chair. He sits down all the time. He's got all these gadgets.
Everyone keeps looking at him, going, "Do you want to turn it on or off again?" And he's like, "No, leave me alone."
He's so intelligent, right? And he kind of almost just wishes that everybody around him was on the same page, but they're just not. And that was very, very funny.
Also, he's the only one that went with them, which again, it's telling, and it kind of it just humanises what would be a very dry character that you just ignore, and then but actually because he's the one that goes along with Lois, you're just like, oh okay, and then he does that kick-ass action scene where he just kind of demolishes everyone. Yeah, with the orbs and the stuff. At which point, and you're like, "Whoa, that's cool." So I think he was played a very good hand in the movie, but I also think he played it really well, and I think that's great. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him in future films, because I actually think I think Green Lantern's going to be one of those things that actually he probably doesn't want to be the leader, and think actually he'll be the one that's actually making the sensible suggestions and doing the stuff, and we're all like, yeah, go for it. So I think, I'm looking forward to that.
Bradley Cooper, Jor-El, Superman's dad. What is going on? How old are we all getting that Bradley Cooper is now playing the dad of Superman? But
There were so many cameos.
Oh, loads,
There
loads.
were so many.
What did while I'm on the subject of Jor-El, what did we think of the flip that in this version of Jor-El's basically sent his son to Earth to take us over, not to save us?
I couldn't understand the motivation for that at all.
Well, in some through, because there are many different versions in the different comics that are out there, and in some of them, Jor-El is not a good egg. He's a bit unhinged. From this film, you can tell the books that James Gunn read when he was growing up. You can tell which Superman comics he read when he was growing up. But I thought it was kind of interesting, and also it showed that when he found out the truth, he could make his own choices. It gave the opportunity for that really tender moment between him and his dad. Now, on the subject of his parents, played by Neva Howell, I think, and Pruitt Taylor Vince was Jonathan Kent. I did not like the accents. I didn't like the fact that they were basically dumb Southern hicks. Yeah, basically, I didn't like that at all. But I guess, thinking about Kansas and having watched all seasons of Justified multiple times,
his dad still came out with I thought his dad still was his little discussion with him outside the house. I thought that was lovely, and that did show there's still some grounded, good upbringing from his parents.
But I just wish they just brought it down a notch. Do you know what I mean? I warmed to them as the film went on, but at the beginning I was like, oh God, now he's really taking the piss.
But I feel like that's a little bit nitpicking, Bobby, because the thing is, so much of this is, don't press the button. But I feel like so much of this is comic book. It's like over the top and like too over the top in a lot of cases. So what I felt with that was, it was kind of like behind the accent there was genuine care and genuine feeling, and I think that's the thing. It's like arguably, it could have been toned down, but I think his point was like, I'm not doing a touching film here. I'm doing a super film. I'm doing a comic book film. So you're going to get the over the topness, and you're going to get the emotion at the same time, and you better be able to deal with it. And like that I feel like that was how James Gunn dealt with stuff. Probably a little bit like, not so nuanced as we'd like it to be, but actually it worked. So
yeah, I still think the best Jonathan Kent is Kevin Costner.
Well, yeah, we'd all like Kevin Costner.
Definitely all the feels.
Or Sean
Kevin
Bean. I'd like Sean Bean as my comic.
Yeah, I mean, because he's going to get killed, right? So
yeah, tragically. Yeah. Or
exactly.
he could be my Uncle Ben, maybe. I don't know.
So they're the kind of main ones. Wendell Pierce, the brilliant Wendell Pierce was the Daily Planet guy, Perry White. He was completely wasted, I felt. He was just a complete sideshow, as were most of the other people that were around Olsen and Lois Lane. Sean Gunn makes a cameo, James Gunn's brother, as he always does in just about every James Gunn film. He was Maxwell Lord. William Reeve, son of Christopher Reeve, does pop up. He is a TV reporter. Frank Grillo was Rick Flag Sr. So Frank Grillo we know from a Marvel property, because he was in, not Civil War, the other one, Winter Soldier. Anthony Carrigan was Metamorpho. Anthony Carrigan, who played NoHo Hank in Barry. Absolutely brilliant actor. Absolutely fantastic. And then finally...
was in it.
Was he?
He was.
Did he have a cameo? Michael Rooker was. I didn't...
He was Raptor #1. We had a few. We had Pom Klementieff was one of the robots. Michael Rooker was another one of the... Like, that, literally everyone that wanted a cameo got it. all of the mates basically got in there, which was fine. Like, because again, like I had no reference to this, but when you look back at it, you're like, oh, cool, so and so was in it. Oh, right, they were in it as well. Oh, well, though, and then you kind of like, okay, he just had no self-control. He just put everyone in. He could.
Don't worry, Bailey.
Why
Daddy's
not?
Daddy's gonna get Jon and Alex to edit this one. I'm not, because they've gone over time again, and now to punish them, so they never ever know.
Yeah,
No, before we do that, I want to talk about Supergirl, because she does make an appearance at the very end. She's played by an Australian this time, Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon, Game of Dragons, whatever. Yeah, I haven't seen House of the Dragon. Dragons, whatever it's called. Anyway, but I think she's going to be a fun Supergirl from what we saw at the end of this. I really enjoyed her cameo. So yeah, well, the drunk thing, because one of my friends was talking about this the other day, and he absolutely hates this film. And at that point in time, I hated it as well. So we were having a really good rant. But he was complaining about Supergirl being drunk and all the rest of it, and I was like, well, there is a version of Supergirl, if you know anything about Supergirl, because basically her ship gets knocked off course because she was meant to arrive before Kal-El, but she doesn't, and that's why she's actually younger than him, because of, you know, sort of time travel nonsense, all of time dilation, exactly. But because she was a teenager when the whole destruction of Krypton went down and everything that led up to it, she knows and remembers everything that happened, so she feels that pain. So her being so dysfunctional, exactly, that's it, is as a result of that. It's all that trauma and PTSD that she's got and everything that she's been through. Clark is pure as the driven snow, because he came as a baby and he doesn't remember anything that happened there, because why would he? So that's the reason for that, and I've had to explain that to several people this week. So yeah, there we go. Ratings. Is there anything...
Well, that's why it'll make Supergirl quite a compelling watch, won't it? Because it's
I can't wait for that
just
movie.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. Let me see. Let's move on to ratings, and I will find out for you, John. 26, John.
Yeah, next year. There's no trailer for it yet.
26th of June, 2026. There you go.
Oh, that's good. We'll go see it at the same sort of time again, can't we?
Yep. 100%.
Okay, I'm going to give this film a solid 7 out of 10 because I enjoyed it a lot. I'll probably watch it again. I know you said you wouldn't, Bobby, but I think maybe you've changed your mind about that. I think it was solid. I think it's a good film, but I needed a bit more. For me, a film that's impressive is a film that makes me feel. Again, it sounds really bad because I keep comparing it to Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts got me today when I watched that, and I'm in a nice relaxed mood. I'm not in any sort of vulnerable mood right now, and it still got me almost having a little bit of a cry at the end. And I think that a good film, that's where I'll give it a better rating. So yeah, good solid 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. It's as I said before, it's a goofy, charming, bit of a mess film. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Alex?
Yeah, I think a 7's probably about right. I'm going to go 7.5 because I just want to be a bit different from John. But I did really enjoy it, but I do feel like I've been kind of slapped around the head a bit with some of the changes that happened. And I think my next watch, I won't have that as much and I'll enjoy it. But I also think that it's like you can never meet the expectations that we had for this film. So I actually think that by meeting quite a lot of the expectations, it's a massive win. So I feel like he should be quite happy. Anyway, that's me.
Okay, so when we came out of the cinema, and those of you that have seen mine and John's little thing, we'll try and remember to put a link to it up here.
Therapy session.
I gave it 3 out of 10, and I was super, super angry. Now, I kind of feel, having marinated on it, and I do want to see it again, actually, I'm feeling like I want to say it's an 8 out of 10, reserving final judgment until I've maybe seen it again. But yeah, I'm going to say 8, which is yeah,
That's quite
kind of
high, Bobby.
Are you guys shocked?
Well, I'm just a bit confused, Bobby, because you were well annoyed when we left the cinema, and I was like, I kept saying,
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it. It was fine. I quite enjoyed it. I think I've stuck to my opinions a bit more because I think I had less baggage before the film that you did, because you're obviously a big Superman fan. But that's a good thing. I think it's really positive that you've changed your mind over it. But I agree. I would watch it again.
I think because I've had time to really reflect rather than knee-jerk react to it. And also, you know, the copies of Birthright, All-Star Superman on my coffee table, on my bedside table, kind of just reminded me as well, and I tried to put myself in James Gunn's shoes and try and put myself in his brain if that's even possible. And I've just tried to look at it from other people's point of view. And also, you guys know, regular listeners know, I really don't like to shit on filmmakers and the people involved because there's a lot of effort and there's a lot of people that have every film is an absolute miracle, as we know, and yeah, on reflection, you know, putting everything aside and just looking at this film in isolation as a Superman movie, it's actually got heart, and I love the colour palette as well, and I think David Corenswet did a great job. Rachel Brosnahan was a fantastic Lois Lane. I thought the Lex Luthor was absolutely disgusting, which is exactly what Superman needs, and it just gave a different view of the character. So I'm kind of weirdly sort of wanting to see it again. So there we go. I mean, there's a 360-degree about turn if ever you wanted one. Yeah.
James Gunn will be happy.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I see what he was waiting for.
I didn't really want to give it 8 out of 10, Bailey. I just did that to shut these two up so that we can go.
If I give it Corenswet will agree to come and meet me.
He might do. If we just give it 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it 7 out of 10, guys, and then I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 for David Corenswet.
Yeah.
Just like a private 10 out of 10, not to be shared.
So last question before we sign off. Does this make you excited for what's going to come next?
Yeah, do you know, more excited than the Snyder films made me feel when they were coming out.
Yes.
I'm more... I have a higher level of anticipation and excitement for these films because I think they're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. We have hope, ironically. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. So, with Superman, Gunn is trying to bring some heart back to a character that's been pulled in too many directions, and for the first time in a while, it feels like someone's telling a Superman story who actually likes Superman. Is it perfect? No, but maybe it doesn't need to be. Because sometimes a fresh start and a bit of hope is exactly what the world and the DC Universe needs. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. John, thank you for letting me drag you to the cinema last week. Alex, thank you as ever for bringing balance as well and keeping us grounded. And thank you all so much for either listening or watching, depending on whether you're on the traditional version of the podcast or you're watching on YouTube. Please remember to give us a rating and review. It really helps us out. And please also remember to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, head over there and subscribe anyway. There's loads of interesting content. John put a video out the other day about a TSA-friendly travel backpack thing, which was awesome and would be even more awesome if I used rucksacks. And we've got loads of reviews coming. I've got loads of tech behind me that needs to be opened. I have this for the Nintendo Switch 2, which will need to be unboxed. And there'll be more car stuff as well, because I've now made friends with higher-ups at Ferrari, at McLaren, and at Rolls-Royce. So, watch this space. Loads and loads and loads of stuff to come over the summer. And also my long-awaited, in-progress little docu-movie about eating in different places in New York. That will be coming soon too. Thanks as ever. We'll see you on the next one. This has been Tailoring Talk, and that's been James Gunn Superman. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.